Welcome everyone. If you're watching this video right now, that probably means you are new to MLB The Show and at the very least, new to Diamond Dynasty. On October 1st, 2019, MLB The Show is free on PlayStation Plus. So it's very likely that you probably came here after downloading the game for free on the PlayStation Store. Or if you've had the game for a while, you might want to let your friends know that it's available and then direct them to this video right here. If you're not sure what DD is, aka Diamond Dynasty, it is the card collecting mode in MLB The Show. Over time, it has also evolved into the most popular competitive mode in the game. If you're brand new to the MLB The Show franchise in general, be sure to check out my earlier video from the beginning of the year so that you can see every single thing that this game has to offer. Diamond Dynasty is just so very deep and wide that I wanted to make sure I did a separate video so that you can see exactly what goes on with this mode alone. Diamond Dynasty has competitive online play, creative offline play, and live content that can literally keep you coming back for the entire year. In March, I feel like the $60 to $100 you pay for this game pays for itself very quickly, and if you guys are getting this game for free, absolutely you will have stuff to do with this game for a very long time. Now in this video, I'm about to overload you with information. I'm going to put as much information as I can about Diamond Dynasty into this video, so I will recommend checking out these timestamps that I'll put in the video for you. And if you're looking for something very specific, hopefully you can find it there on the timestamps. Otherwise, this video will probably have too much information unless you're just ready to get really deep into the game mode. My hope is that this video will have all the information you need, so if you just need something about a specific part of Diamond Dynasty right now, and maybe you need something else about Diamond Dynasty a little bit later, you'll know that there is one central location that you can come back from time to time and easily find that information. I'll also put the timestamps in the description so that you don't have to keep coming back to the video itself. You can just look at the description and see exactly where you need to go next time you want to check something out. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through every single panel in DD and give you some brief tips and things to look out for in online play and obtaining stubs. I already have numerous videos about gameplay tips and how to improve in game, and I'm not the best at making stubs, but I can give you the basics for sure, but there are a lot of good resources out there that I will link for you. And when it comes down to it, I don't have as much information out there when it comes to building your team. And since Diamond Dynasty is essentially just a card collecting mode at its core, I want to make sure I have all that information out there for you in this video itself. I will go super in depth into every way that you can collect cards, the attributes of cards, and then finishing off with the best budget cards, plus the most efficient way to get started with missions and getting the best free cards. If you're getting this game in October or even later, you're going to see that there is so much information, so many cards and so many missions available to you, which can be overwhelming on the surface, but once I give you this information, you'll actually be able to come up with a very competitive online squad in a relatively short amount of time. So before we get into that, let's just run through all the screens and I will show you exactly what is in this mode. If you've already explored Diamond Dynasty and are just trying to get some more in-depth tips, again, look at those timestamps and there will be a lot more useful information in the second half of this video. For anybody that hasn't explored yet, let's run through these screens. So when you get into Diamond Dynasty, you will be given probably a helpful tutorial that will net you some starter cards. After that, you'll end up in a screen that looks like this. The first panel highlights the current live program. If you're starting this early in October, you'll probably see the 8th inning program right here. Below that panel are some daily missions to help you obtain program stars towards rewards in the program. We will talk more in depth about programs in a bit, but first let's make sure to check out all the panels across this mode. So on the right, you can scroll through the live highlights panel, showing you the most important things available to you in Diamond Dynasty at the moment. This is a great tool if you haven't been on in a bit and want to see what's new in the game. Two more tools like this are the website, theshownation.com, and also if you back out of Diamond Dynasty, there's another schedule right at the beginning that gets refreshed about every week or so. Now back into Diamond Dynasty. On the Play tab, here you see 3 online modes of Diamond Dynasty: Ranked Seasons, Battle Royale, and Events. We will go into each into detail in a little bit as well. You can also see the standings for the current Ranked Season, and your lifetime standings and stats as well. Conquest and Moments are both offline modes against the CPU, although keep in mind all Diamond Dynasty content requires an internet connection even when you're playing offline. So maybe you feel like you want to grind some missions or like your internet went down or something like that. Unfortunately, you won't be able to do Conquest or Moments at that time because it does require that internet connection. Conquest is where you play a risk type game and conquer spots on a map until you conquer the entire map. There are some great Conquest guides out there if you want to check them out later, But basically you want to build up reinforcements and simulate as much as possible so that you only have to play the stronghold games yourself. Scattered throughout the maps are additional prizes like stubs and packs, and conquest can be kind of a grind, so I'll show you which maps you should do first in the getting started section at the end of this video. As a rule of thumb, you want to start from the left and move to the right of this list. And once you pass somewhere like the 6th inning program, it's not really worth doing the rest of the maps before that, unless you're trying to really push for some additional XP. So we also have moments to grind offline. There are a whole lot of moments available at this point in the year, and some are more valuable than others. So we'll get to which ones are good to start with a little bit later as well. Basically, it's a way to relive or rewrite the best moments throughout baseball history, and also a lot of moments throughout this season. There are many different types of moments like storylines, tops now, inning moments, and more. There are literally hundreds of hours of content here, so I will definitely help you sift through the best ones. Or if you're just an offline kind of player, just go ahead and dive right in. You may notice that some have different prizes than others, so definitely we will talk about that later as well. Now the final panel here is called Extended Play, where you can challenge a friend to a game, play online without any ranking, play against the CPU, which is nice for a few daily missions, or Extra Innings, which is a game against the CPU controlling another person's Diamond Dynasty team, which this year is not really useful at all. The next tab we have here is the Squad tab, where you can go in and create different lineups and pitching staffs and check out your best players. The next tab lets you do all the team customization like adjusting jerseys, themes, logos, etc. You can even grab logos off the vault if you see one you'd like to use. College logos are very popular off the vault. The next tab is the created player, which I could talk about for a full 15 minutes. And you know what? I actually already have, so peep this video right here for everything you need to know about the created player. And next up are roster updates and Inside Edge, which you won't need to worry about much since the regular season is over. You will see some cards from playoff teams with their overalls increased and decreased depending on how much Inside Edge likes or dislikes the real life matchup that day. And if you press triangle on a card and press R1 and scroll over to the Inside Edge area, it will show you exactly why they think that a matchup is favorable or unfavorable for them that day. It is not a permanent upgrade or downgrade, although those do happen every couple weeks during the regular season. Inside Edge is just a temporary one-day thing. Finally, you have stats and game history, which are exactly as you'd expect. All the stats for every card you've used and the box score and game summary from every game you've played. If you want to see your team stats, you can go back to the Standings tab and find them there as you scroll across. The next tab is actually very deep, so I'll come back to them as we go in depth into every tab. Finally, the Shop tab contains the Community Market, where you can buy and sell cards with virtual currency, the Pack Store, where you can buy but shouldn't buy packs, and the Stub Store, where you can buy stubs with real-world dollars. In my opinion, stubs are extremely overpriced for what you are able to buy with them. Like a good 99 overall player can cost at least 100 real-world dollars. And also for how easily you can obtain stubs in the game, which I will show you how to do in a little bit. Okay, so by now you should have seen every panel that is available in Diamond Dynasty. Now let's go back and get into a little bit more detail with some of the online stuff, and then we'll go very deep into the collection. In this section, I'll also talk a little bit about what you can expect stub-wise, and how you can make stubs being competitive at the game. So let's get into the details, starting with online play. Ranked Seasons is the most competitive mode in the entire game, where you get to use your very best cards and climb the ranks. If you press triangle, you can see the ranked breakdowns here and difficulties associated with them. The main noticeable differences between difficulties are that the pitch speeds increase, the pitchers are harder to control, and the size of the plate coverage indicator, or PCI, shrink. Keep that acronym in mind, the PCI, you're going to see it a lot. If you have good reaction time and coordination, you can pretty much breeze through the ranks on All-Star. Once you get to Hall of Fame, it takes a lot more baseball knowledge and putting together smart at-bats to be able to win consistently for most people. If you ever need help with that, I have plenty of tips videos on the channel for you to check out. And reaching 900 in ranked, aka the World Series division, is the main goal for most people. This is where you get the top reward that can net you around 200k stubs at this point of the year. That is, if you choose to sell it. Chipper Jones was added last month and actually sat around 700k for a very long time, and at the time of making this video, he is still well over 500,000 stubs if you're able to obtain him. And remember I said earlier that you can get a 99 overall card for about 100k, so basically if you were to sell Chipper Jones, who is also a 99, you would be able to pick up about 6 more top flight cards in the game. That just kind of gives you a perspective on how you can earn rewards for free by playing competitively and getting other rewards in return. There are also some minor rewards along the way as you climb tiers, and you can get the rewards as soon as you reach a new level, so don't worry about dropping back down after a loss. So if you reach 700 or whatever, and then go back down and lose 3 more games, that's totally fine. You've already got the rewards for 700, so you don't have to worry about that. These ranked seasons restart about every 4 weeks or so, so keep in mind there are times where a lot more people are playing. For instance, at the very beginning of a ranked season, you will actually run into a lot of really good players who are playing down at levels that they're usually not at, because at the beginning of the season they are forced to restart from a lower level so that they can try to climb back up. So keep in mind, if you try to play like the first week of ranked seasons, it's going to be a little bit tougher than playing towards the middle of a season. Now let's talk briefly about Battle Royale, where you draft a team of 25 players to play in 3-inning games to try to get 12 wins without losing. There are tiers in this mode, so you get a card for every 3 wins. So 3 wins you get silver, 6 wins you get gold, 9 wins you get a low diamond, and 12 wins you get a high diamond. If you go 12-0, you can also earn a card that can net you upwards of 500,000 stubs. Going 12-0 is not easy, and it takes a good amount of luck to go with pretty high skill. So for a beginner, I'd stay away from this mode completely if you're not confident in your gameplay. After the first try, it costs 1,500 stubs for every entry, so you don't make your stubs back unless you get at least 6 wins every time. If you're trying to jump into this mode, be sure to check out some BR draft modes because there is a skill to drafting the right players. We'll talk about what makes a good card in general later in this video, but I can tell you now that for BR, you want to draft common starting pitchers and 1 bronze, of course, if possible, and get about 4 good bullpen arms where a silver card is sufficient. If you spend too many diamonds on your bullpen, then you're going to be a little too weak on the hitting side. And with those common arms, you want to make sure you replace the starter with one of your relievers right after the first batter. Also, if you don't like your squad after you're finished drafting it, you can just press L1 to redraft. Again, the risk reward for this mode is a little bit high, so I would avoid it from the beginning if you are totally not used to playing competitively in these kind of games. Now, if you like the concept of 3-inning online games but don't feel comfortable with BR, events is the place to go. New events usually pop up right after one finishes, and they're always different with new rewards and new team building criteria. Here you have to use cards that you've obtained previously, but with certain constraints, like live series players only, 90 plus power, silver hitters, gold pitchers, etc. Then you try to reach the preset number of wins for that event, which is usually around 20, to try to earn that event's card. Sometimes for really good cards, there will be a set of 3 events that stack on each other. So you earn vouchers that you turn in to get the rewards. So to get that good card, you are required to play all 3 events and not just one. So even though an event may take you only 15 wins to get a card, it'll probably add up to 45 or 60 wins by the end of it. This is actually one of the best ways to earn rewards online in Diamond Dynasty. It might take some people longer than others to get those wins, but these cards are very obtainable for most people. In BR, you have to streak really well, you have to be pretty good at the game to get the really big rewards. Not everybody can make World Series and ranked seasons, but over time, you might have to play extra games, but even if you go 500 in events, you'll eventually get those cards. And a set of 3 events can net you 100 to 150,000 stubs easily, especially at this stage in the year. You can also earn extra rewards like BR by getting 12 wins, but here there's no extra reward for going 12-0, but you do get a diamond for getting 12 wins before you get 2 losses, so keep that in mind if you're trying to get a little bit competitive. So those are the 3 main online modes which are hot at different times during the month, like when new content or new events are released. In terms of content schedule, the developers of the game San Diego Studio, or SDS, generally put out new content at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on Fridays. These usually include roster updates, new inning programs, new headliner packs including 2 new Signature Series cards, and new moments. Ranked seasons usually last about 4 to 5 weeks and start at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern on Mondays. And keep in mind, SDS also does streams, so a lot of times on Thursday evenings at about 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, they will go on Twitch and stream and tell us the new cards and new content about to come out the next day, so keep an eye out for that. They also put that on their schedule on the front page of Diamond Dynasty. So now we've talked about online play, we talked a little bit about how to reference and how to think about earning rewards and selling cards for stubs, but let's talk about how you obtain cards in general, and let's go in order of this collect tab right here. So first of all, we have featured programs, which allows you to work through a series of challenges and earn rewards. Once you click on one of them, on the left you can scroll down a program and see what challenges are available and how many program stars you can earn. As you can see, there are missions of every kind, starting with daily missions netting you about 10 stars a day, followed by online play and a conquest map. There is also a voucher here to get you a large chunk of 75 stars, but is also very expensive. The voucher can be found here in the collection section with the featured programs panel. You find the voucher from that inning and have to collect the 3 bosses from the previous program. This can be extremely expensive and almost never worth it, unless you plan on grinding out the next program the night it comes out and selling the reward card ASAP to turn a profit. I would not recommend this for anyone outside of hardcore grinders because you may have to play for like 18 hours in the first 24 hours of the release to turn a profit. So in the end, you might as well just buy one of the next bosses off the market, because usually they're not all endgame cards. You're not usually going to want to keep all 3 cards. Anyway, forget about the voucher for now. There are also plenty of moments for each program, with more moments coming out every week or so until the next program drops. Also, playing 3 full innings anywhere in the game nets you a program star, so playing a full ranked seasons game gets you 3 more stars. As you scroll, you can see numerous rewards from just one program alone. I'll highlight the packs at 100, 200, and 300 stars. So the first pack at 100 gets you a nice diamond choice pack, so you can pick one card out of those options that you can sell for about 5,000 stubs. But the second pack for these programs usually contains really sneaky good cards that are very, very cheap. The overalls for this pack usually go from like 93 to 97, and these are the kind of cards that you want to build a starter squad off of rather than selling them. And again, we'll get deeper into that in a little bit. Finally, at 300 stars, you have the bosses. These bosses at this stage of the game are all pretty much 99s, and you get to choose one for free. That's right, once you get to 300 stars, you can choose one for free and keep it, or you can even sell it if you'd like to. A lot of these go for about 100k. Beyond 300 stars in every inning is just icing on the cake, but the last couple of packs are nice. You're guaranteed a diamond for about 10 to 20k, plus a chance at some cards that are worth upwards of 150k. The odds aren't bad at 4 to 1 and 10 to 1, but I still expect the low tier every time. I just don't expect much out of these packs, to be honest with you. So these programs are a nice way to pick up very good cards. You really want to focus on those 100, 200, 300 stars, and they also can net you some large sums of stubs. By the time you watch this video, there are going to be at least 8 programs out there, so it can be very overwhelming. I will definitely get into, at the very end of this video, exactly what you should be looking for each one of these programs. As a general rule of thumb, again, work backwards, work on whatever is currently live in the game, and then work your way backwards. Once you get past the 6th inning program or so, there aren't enough missions in the game to be able to complete every 300 star mission without doing the voucher, so it's just not worth it. If you like some of the cards, for instance, the Billy Wagner is a really good card from one of the earlier programs, I would recommend just straight up buying him off the market. Don't worry about this program, but if you're looking for missions to do, I would probably focus on 8th, 7th, and 6th inning. Again, I'll have an exact breakdown of what missions to do later in the video. So next we have the XP reward path, which is just so unbelievably clutch. Everything you play in this game gets you XP, and every 5 levels gets you a new reward. There are 3 notable packs in this reward path. The first one is a choose from 30, which is an easy way to get a free 5,000 stubs from any card you pick and sell. You can choose to keep them, but at this stage in the game, you have better cheap options. Next in this path is a choice pack of 9 unsellable cards, so make sure you never take the same card twice because you will have to keep it. Every card in this pack is nice to use depending on how good your squad is, and I'll give you a list of the loose consensus of how good each card is from best to worst. So Kershaw, Ryan, Ichiro, Hoffman, Trammell, Kemp, Giambi, Kiner, and Bench. Again, this is a very loose list, but kind of what I've seen in terms of popularity and usefulness at this stage in the game. Finally, the cream of the crop for this XP reward path are the level 100 rewards. Here you get to choose an unsellable level 99 card, some of which are very usable today. Loose list for this pack as well: Gwynn, Frank Thomas, Snyder, Morgan, Robinson. Many people still use Gwynn and Frank to this day, and they are going to be in their lineups for the entire year. Throughout this XP path, you can probably find 200,000 stubs worth of items, although it'll take you months to get through it. Just keep an eye out for those nice packs, and you can get through the Silver 1 stage pretty quick with what I show you at the end of the video. Next we have Team Affinity, where you can get points for using players of a certain team to earn team-specific rewards. You can also play the March to October mode to try to win the World Series and get some affinity stars as well, but I wouldn't recommend M2O for grinding affinities because it's not efficient. M2O is a really nice mode and super fun, but I would only play it to enjoy the mode itself and not for the rewards. Doing the exchanges below using gold cards that you can buy for 1,000 stubs each is the most efficient way to do it, and it can cost you about 15k to get the diamond that costs 50 affinity stars. At this point in the game, there aren't many great cards in here, but Britain from the Orioles is a very solid card, considering how thin lefty options are in this game. There's also a Raleigh Fingers that people really like from the Brewers Affinity. There's a lot to do in collections, but not really something to worry about for a new player. I'll get into the best starter collections in a little bit, but remember when you collect a player, he can no longer be sold in the market. Honus Wagner and Willie Mays are both collection rewards, but can cost you about 600k to 1 million stubs each, just for reference. Keep an eye out for cheap cards that you can collect and quick sell at cost, and earn some quick XP. Again, I'll get into that a little bit later, but this brings up our inventory. This is where you can see every card that you own. When you first start out for the first month or two, you can run through each page and sell off bronzes and silvers on the market to make a few small sums of stubs to work towards diamonds. I mentioned quick selling before, which is where you can click on a card and quick sell for a preset price based on the tier. So it's 5 stubs for a common, 25 for a bronze, 100 for silver, 1,000 for gold, and 5,000 for diamond. So if you want to check out the live series collection and buy up all the cheap commons, bronzes, silvers, and golds for a team, you can quick sell the golds after and nearly break even. Even teams like the Athletics, who do have a diamond player in Matt Chapman, but Matt Chapman goes for the quick sell price of about 5,000 stubs. So if you were to collect all the Athletics, you would pretty much break even and get a butt ton of XP for it. Again, this is a cool trick to get some easy XP without spending too many stubs. You can do the collect 20 and 30 for basically every squad under 20k stubs, and then make your stubs back. With just 20,000 stubs, you can do basically the collect 20 and 30 for basically every squad. And then you'll probably make your stubs back with the quick sells and the exchanges. Instead of quick selling bronzes and silvers, you can go to the player exchange section and basically level up your unsellable cards to get sellable cards in return. For low bronzes and silvers, you may as well quick sell, but for cards like 74 bronzes and 79 silvers, make sure to exchange them because they're more valuable with their exchange points than they are as quick sell. You can also exchange your Tops Now vouchers here, which you earn by doing multiple Tops Now moments throughout the month. Now before we get into the last couple sections of this video, let me give you some quick tips on the community market if you're a very beginner. So for every card there are 2 prices, the buy now and the sell now. These let you buy or sell a card immediately, but at a disadvantage in price. So if you create a buy order, you can set a lower price, but then have to wait for someone to sell you that card, and vice versa for the sell orders. Keep in mind there's a 10% tax when selling on the market, so if you're trying to sell a gold, don't do a sell now in market for anything less than 1,100 stubs, because with tax, you lose stubs compared to the quick sell. When you quick sell a card, you do not pay tax on that card. So a sell now for 1,100 is exactly the same as a quick sell for 1,000. Now to make stubs on the market, you can actually flip cards by buying with a low buy order and then selling with a high sell order. I'd recommend starting with the bronzes that have a margin of 100 stubs or so and buying up as many as you can for say 30 stubs each. Then you can go play a game and come back and put up sell orders for the cards that were bought while you were in the game. I'll link some more videos that can help with this concept if it doesn't make sense right now. If you've played a game like 2K, then you're probably familiar with the auction house where you can snipe for cards, buy them for cheap, and then sell them for a profit. Here's a little different where every card is just kind of out there for you and you don't have to go looking for anything with filters. But if you do plan on flipping cards, I would look out for teams that don't have any golds because the bronzes go for a lot more expensive prices. So if you're looking to flip, I would start with the Orioles. Now let's go a little deeper into the cards themselves and discuss what each rating does. Starting with the hitters and going left to right. Contact represents the ability for a player to hit the ball on a line. Power determines the maximum and average exit velocity on good swings. It determines how hard or far a card can hit the ball. These power numbers are determined by a player's isolated power statistic, which is basically a representation of how often a player hits extra base hits in real life. It's not determined purely by the number of home runs hit or average exit velocity, so you may wonder why a guy like Honus Wagner, who didn't hit too many home runs, has such a high power rating, and that's why. Vision is the inverse of the strikeout rate or the whiff rate, so it represents how well a card avoids swinging and missing. In-game, you will see players' plate coverage indicator, which we talked about earlier, the PCI, will be bigger or smaller depending on this stat. This PCI size is determined 50% by contact and 50% by the vision rating. So a player could have 75 contact and 125 vision, which you probably won't see, but if that was the case, it would still be smaller than someone with 125 vision, 125 contact, which would be the biggest PCI in the game. Discipline only affects your ability to check swing with a card and represents a player's in real life patience and walk rate. It's not a very important stat to worry about when looking at cards for our purposes, because check swings are very random in this game anyway. A high clutch rating can boost some ratings behind the scenes when hitting with runners in scoring position. It's a nice little attribute as icing on the cake, but not super important to factor into decision making. Bunt and drag bunt is relatively self-explanatory, but not very many cards have high ratings here, and bunting is a little broken, so it's hard to quantify how well this attribute works. Durability is a stat indicating how well a player avoids injuries, but injuries are turned off in Diamond Dynasty apart from liners off of the pitcher's head, so this is a useless stat in Diamond Dynasty. Now, fielding ratings are actually super important. If you've played the game in previous years, you probably didn't care too much about defense in a lot of positions, but this year it is actually very important. The fielding rating indicates how well a player makes plays right before the ball is about to hit the glove, like how well does this guy catch the baseball. This stat is related to the defensive runs saved and the defensive wins above replacement for a player. Arm strength and accuracy are pretty self-explanatory, and the reaction stat determines the first step or two when the ball leaves the bat. Reaction is actually a pretty important stat, and low reaction ratings can actually cause a player to jump in the wrong direction. Anything over 70 is usually fine. Speed is based off of measured StatCast sprint speed, but is usually only updated at the beginning of the year, with a few exceptions. Stealing rating can help a card get a better jump when stealing bases, and to be honest, I'm not sure what base running aggressiveness affect. Keep in mind that these ratings are based off of a 3-year average, so that it's not overwhelmed by one good season or one good month when it comes to current players in the MLB. There are roster updates every other week, so after a player consistently improves or declines, their card will represent that. You can even try to invest cards that you will think will improve from silver to gold or gold to diamond and cash in on stubs. That's more of a tip from next year because there are going to be no more updates on the roster for the rest of the year because we are now heading into the postseason. You might also be wondering what Signature Series cards are. Basically, they try to encompass a player's entire career into one card. They take mostly the stats from the player's prime years and use the career averages as a floor. So you may be wondering why someone like an Adam Jones has such a good card in the game, and it's because he had some pretty decent years in the middle, and maybe not representative of who he is now or who he was as a whole during his entire career, but kind of shows you a little snapshot of who he was at his best. And to a lot of players, it's still a little confusing where exactly they're getting their stats from, but you know what? We are really happy as a community about how much the effort they put into giving us as many cards as possible. So for us, we felt it was a little ticky-tack to complain about it, but so you know, there's a lot of diversity in these cards. Now going back to the cards for pitcher ratings, stamina affects how many pitches a pitcher can throw before getting tired. It's not a 1-to-1 rating, so it's also affected by in-game confidence. A 125 stamina doesn't mean he can throw 125 pitches before he gets tired. It's just kind of a scale compared to all the other cards in the game. The hits per 9 and strikeouts per 9 categories actually shrink the opposing hitter's PCI, and I believe their timing windows as well. So these are very important ratings. It just makes it harder for your opponent to hit. Hits per 9 can also affect contact quality behind the scenes. Walks per 9 and home runs per 9 are not very significant, if at all, for game results. Home runs per 9 was very important for one point, but no longer has any value online. A high clutch rating can improve performance slightly when runners are on base. When you're in game, keep an eye out for your blue confidence bar. If it gets close to only 1/4 full, try a mound visit to boost it. I've heard that a good clutch rating can also boost the effects of a mound visit as well. Control, velocity, and break are generally self-explanatory. They are very physical stats, but keep in mind that not every pitch has the same rating splits, meaning your primary pitch could have 99 control, but the rest of your pitches are like 75 control, and the formula that averages that out can be like a 84 control rating. DaddyLeagues.com actually shows the rating of individual pitches on each card, but I'm not sure if they're correct, but I would definitely take a look if you're interested in seeing the individual ratings for each pitch. Also keep in mind different players have different windups, and some people like the timings of a certain card, which makes it feel better for you than other cards, despite their control ratings. As a rule of thumb this year, don't read too much into ratings for both pitchers and hitters. Use them as a baseline, but there will be plenty of lower rated cards that will produce better numbers for you than 99 overall cards, just based on timings and swings and things like that. So try out some cards, and if they work well for you, that's literally all that matters. Down in the description, since this video is getting pretty long, I'm going to put a timestamped link to my video that goes over the best settings to use for online play. To start out, you might want to start with directional and maybe pulse pitching, but over time, if you want to compete online, the best interfaces to use are pure analog for pitching and buttons plus zone for hitting. You also want to try out a camera like Strike Zone 1 or Strike Zone 2, and just have a consistent camera from pitching. I have a lot more info on settings on that video, so make sure to check it out afterwards. But that's everything that we have for Diamond Dynasty. Before I let you go, I want to make sure that you have a starting point for when you get into this mode. As you can see, this video is very long, and there's a lot of stuff to do in Diamond Dynasty and can very easily get overwhelming, despite being very cool, and I just think there's been amazing content this year. If you started from the beginning, you probably have had the time to build up your squad over time, but if you're starting right now, whenever this is, October, November, December, whatever it is, there's a lot out there that can get overwhelming, so let me make sure that you guys have a starting point. So first of all, I'm going to give you an efficient way to do this, but remember, this is it's a video game. You want to have fun the way you want to have fun, so if you like to grind, just jump in, have fun. I'll give you an efficient way to do it if you're really trying to get online as fast as possible and compete, because you can get online and find out that you're actually facing up against God squads, and that can get really defeating really fast. So I want to make sure that you have the most competitive squad as fast as possible. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you get into Diamond Dynasty is number 1, do the welcome moments. There's 2 sets of welcome moments called Welcome Moment Set 1 and Set 2. And they give you a decent amount of stubs, they give you a decent amount of XP, you even get a free pack for one of them. That pack you're probably going to want to sell. You could hang on to it if you're trying to jump into a game really quick, because it'll have a diamond card, but I think that card is more useful as a way to start up your stub total. I'm also going to give you the amount of time it takes to finish a set of moments, and then I'll round it up and show you exactly how long it'll take to get all of this done. By the end of all this, you will be able to have a 95 overall squad in 50 hours or less. 50 hours is still a significant amount of time, but if you do these over time, it won't feel too bad. For mega grinders who are actually good at the game, you can get this done as soon as 30 hours. But first of all, those welcome moments, you can get those done in about an hour and most likely less. Now, if you're starting this game in October and the 8th inning is live, you want to start out with the 8th inning moments and Conquest for the 8th inning. You want to do everything you can that relates to the 8th inning, get as far as you can with that first. That's what you do right after you start the welcome moments. The offline stuff for the 8th inning, or whatever inning it is when you start this game, should take about 4 hours. By the end of this, you may be close to 300 stars. They've kind of changed up how many stars are available at the beginning, so you may not be able to get to 300 stars at the beginning, but you'll notice that you get a free star for every 3 innings you play anywhere in the game. So over time you will get to that 300, but you want to get as far as you can in the 8th inning program first. Next, you want to go back to the moments that says SIG teams, and there's one set at the beginning that works for Jason Kendall, and the second set that works for Torrey Hunter. And you want to do both of these. Both of those cards are pretty solid. You can definitely use them competitively online. And all you have to do here is win 3 inning games. The nice thing about this is that you get to use signature teams that they've created for you, so you don't actually have to use a squad that you've built. It's a pre-made team for you, and it can really compete with the squad that you have to play against, and it's on veteran, which should be decently easy enough for a new player. These inning moments can take you about 8 hours. Depending on how comfortable you are with your gameplay, it could even take you as little as 5 hours. Keep in mind, you're getting a lot of rewards for this as well. It may seem like a lot of time, but a lot of rewards. Next up, after you finish the Kendall and Torrey missions, you want to head over to the 6th inning moments. This should only take you about 1 to 2 hours. And the cool thing about this is, in tandem with the Torrey and Kendall moments, when you do the 6th inning moments, you will earn Ken Griffey Jr. 99 overall card. All of this can be done in 1 weekend. It'll take you less than 10 hours. He is one of the 6th inning rewards, and basically an endgame card. Some programs have had cards that you just want to earn so that you can sell them, but Griffey is so good, and in 10 hours of gameplay, you can earn him for free. So after you earn Griffey, you want to head over to Conquest and do the Shark map. This will take you about 2 hours, depending on how many games you play. And the Shark map itself doesn't have a ton of cool looking stuff on the surface, but there are a lot of packs that you can find as you play. There are a lot of hidden packs at random hexagons in the map, so just play through it and you will find that you're just getting packs right and left. Next, you want to go and do the Wainwright and Marischal moments in the Sony partner moments. These will each take you less than an hour, and they will get you very solid competitive starting pitchers for your rotation. There are some decent other cards in the Sony partner moments, but none of them compare quite to the level of Wainwright and Marischal. After you do this, you want to go to do the Ron Guidry moments back in the signature teams. This should take you under 4 hours as well, although the games may be a little bit tougher if you're a new player. By this time, you've probably grinded out enough offline gameplay to compete at a little bit of a higher level. Another reason why you want to do the Guidry, because you're actually going to go ahead and skip the previous 2 sets of signature team moments, because those ones require to use your own team. The moments for Pee Wee Reese and Wade Davis will require to use your Diamond Dynasty squad, which you can do if you have a good set of gold cards, which I'll talk about in a sec. But you can go and do the Guidry moments because SDS went ahead and set you up with a squad so that you don't have to build it. So after the Wainwright and Marischal moment, you want to go do the Guidry moments. And right there you have 3 starting pitchers that you can use online. Now if you just want to do a handful of the Pee Wee and Wade moments, you can actually follow this by doing some 7th inning moments, because then you'll have enough to get a 7th inning boss. And in the 7th inning you can get Tom Seaver or you could get Andre Dawson. Jeff Bagwell is available, but he's not quite on the tier of the other 2. Even if you don't want to keep those 2 cards, you could sell one of them. And then of course you're getting plenty of cards in the 100 and 200 star packs as well. Now if you're not ready to do the Pee Wee or Wade moments or the 7th inning moments, you want to start chipping away at Tops Now or doing some Moments Extreme. If you're breezing through Tops Now, that's when you want to try Moments Extreme, because each individual moment gets you a pack of some kind and some XP, which is really nice, but they can be also very hard. So if you're struggling with Tops Now, don't worry about Moments Extreme at all. And then after that, you want to take a peek into some of the inning moments, because it's worth doing some that have free Headliners packs. Now once you get through all of those, you can then go back. If you didn't do the 7th inning moments before, then you can go ahead and do them. And then you also want to finish the rest of the SIG teams. And once you finish up the SIG teams, that's when you can get 99 Adrian Gonzalez, you can get that Pee Wee Reese and the Wade Davis, and then of course you can get the 99 overall Vlad Guerrero. So if you took that Tom Seaver in the 7th inning, you might not need the Andre Dawson, you could put Vlad in right field for free. And remember that you don't need diamonds to beat SIG teams. Golds and silvers with 80 plus power are just fine. One of the toughest parts about playing on higher levels is the pitch speed difference and the PCI size, but the PCI size you won't have to worry about on All-Star and less. So you can actually look for these guys that I'll show you, or that are some of the best golds that you can use in the game. So Yordan Alvarez, Joey Gallo, Pete Alonso, Eugenio Suarez, Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres, Eduardo Escobar, Mike Moustakas, Josh Donaldson, Max Muncy, Mitch Garver, and Michael Conforto. These are the guys I would look for in the community market. You can get them for 1,000 stubs each or so. And you can actually beat these really, really good signature teams just using these guys alone. You might sacrifice a little bit of defense. You're really just going to want to focus on scoring a lot of runs. And honestly, if you put up like 3-4 runs and you're comfortable with your pitching and you think you can get guys out, don't worry too much about scoring a lot of runs. You can actually just score a few runs at the beginning and just mail it in for the rest of the game. Either bunt or just try to run yourself out of innings. That way you can actually cut down the amount of time it takes to do these grinds. But if you're trying to learn the game and you're trying to actually learn how to hit properly, this is a good place to learn that as well. So now, we talked about what moments you wanted to do, right? So let's run through that again. Welcome moments, 8th inning, Kendall and Torrey. Then the 6th inning moments, that'll finish up Griffey for you. Shark map, Wainwright Marischal, followed by Guidry. And then you get into the 7th inning, Tops Now, Moments Extreme, and then you finish off 7th inning moments and signature teams. To do all of this, like I said, it takes about 50 hours, depending on your skill level and how much you want to run through it. And that can take about a month or 2 if you're a casual player, or if you're a gamer that plans on grinding the game nonstop, you can literally get this done in 1 to 2 weeks. So after 1 to 2 weeks, you can have a 95 overall Diamond Dynasty squad. For reference, those of us that have been playing since March, it took us about 3-4 months to get this far, just because of the limited number of cards in the game. So I showed you that squad a little bit earlier, and I just want to talk a little bit about how to upgrade your cards. And what you really want to do is just start off, buy as many golds as you can, the golds that I talked about, fill up the roster first, then upgrade as you go. So you'll get these diamonds as you go, the free diamonds through the SIG teams and all those moments. And then you want to start to upgrade each guy with diamonds worth 5 to 10k. And then as you start saving up, you want to make big upgrades starting with your bullpen. So start with that pitching staff. There are a lot of expensive bullpen arms that are available and worth the stubs. But there are also mid-level steals like Sergio Romo, Seth Lugo, Troy Percival, Lee Smith. Eventually you want to get someone like 99 overall Kenley Jansen, 99 Billy Wagner, 95 Aroldis Chapman. The first thing you're going to want to do is to upgrade to a strong back three in the bullpen before you start spending on other positions. So do all those moments, get your 95 overall, then start spending on guys like Romo, Lugo, Percival, Smith, and then finally work up to Kenley Wagner and Chapman. Then you go back and you can upgrade your hitters. Keep in mind as you're doing these offline missions, you want to be working on your XP grind as well. And if there are live events going on, if you have the squad to work with in an event and you're ready to play some online, go ahead and try out those events because they net you, like I said, 100 or 150k over the span of 3 events. And again, remember to look into that XP stuff. So you want to do all the starter collections for anything that you can buy and quick sell at cost, all the live series collections that don't include diamonds, and then you want to do quick sellable flashback collections, quick sellable monthly collections. So basically you want to go through these couple collections right here, click on a card if it goes for 5k, or if it's like a cheap silver or gold or something like that. You just want to collect it here, you get the XP, and then you go back to your inventory and then you quick sell them. And then if you are doing live series collections, make sure to go to this last one right here, the created player collections, before you quick sell or exchange them. Just make sure you lock them in. Nothing extra to do here, but you get some free stubs. And before we finish this video, we are just about done, but let me give you a couple extra tips right here. So for the Tops Now moments, the newer ones give you free quick sell diamonds. So you want to start with September and work towards the beginning of the year. Don't forget to exchange the vouchers. And there are a lot of decently priced silvers in there as well. And later on, you're just going to get straight up diamonds. So a lot of free stubs going on in these Tops Now. If you're going to do Sony partner moments, you want to work top to bottom other than the ones that I told you about already. Wainwright and Marichal are the must-haves to start. Billy Williams and Bryce Harper are actually very solid cards as well. Bartolo's kind of meh. Chris Davis is pretty solid, but might not be worth the time for you. Moments Extreme are worth your time, although some of them are very hard. So if you can't get the Edmonds or the Miller, each individual moment is still worth it for the packs, even if you can do just a couple of them total. There are some very good players that have struggled on these moments. These monthly award moments also award you at least 5,000 stubs, so 1,000 for a gold, 1,000 for the reward, and then there's another 3,000 for the sum of individual moments, and some XP, so it's worth doing those as well. Don't touch any of the storylines, except for the 89 Griffey if you really want it, but even that's not super worth it because, like I said, you can get the Signature Series Griffey for free. There's a lot of 7th inning moments available, but you also get program stars for the 7th inning by doing some of those signature teams. So I would recommend not doing the 7th inning conquest. And honestly, if there's no headliners pack available for any of the previous inning programs, you don't really need to touch them because you won't be able to get those free bosses. And there you go. That is how you get started in Diamond Dynasty. We are at a point in the year where there's just so much content out there. I hope that was a good explanation for you guys for everything that's in the mode, how to get started, where to go, how to enjoy the game. And that's what I hope. I hope that you guys enjoy the game at the end of the day. Again, if you are looking for gameplay tips, I have plenty of videos that you can search for on my YouTube. I stream every day at 4 p.m. Central Time on Twitch. If you want daily content from me, that's where you find me. You can join us on Discord, or you can follow me on Twitter. Those are the 2 places where I update you guys as things happen. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I usually don't do a lot of news here on the channel. I do a lot of gameplay tips here on the channel, but I do update with news on Twitter. So if you are just looking for what's coming up new in MLB The Show, make sure to follow me there on Twitter because that's where you will find that information. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great one. I will see you later.